Hello, everybody. Hello. Okay, y'all didn't call me by surprise. Okay, I'm back. I'm coming over here to read a little bit of my story um, that I wrote last year, and which I'm still writing on book part two. Um, and I have never got it published. Never got the first one published. But anyway, welcome to my live. Oh, well. January 27th, I believe. January 27th, 2026. I said I believe. I'm like I'm thought off. Anyway, January 27th, 2026. I want to say Happy New Year. Uh so anyway, let me go straight to it because I'm not gonna be over here very long. Uh Let me open to the first page. I'm gonna try to read all of it. If I don't get to read all of it, that's fine. I will be back some other time to read my story. The name of the title is Tony Predicament with Friends. I didn't put the, I just put the title of Tony story being read. Welcome. I want to say welcome. Anyway, the title of this story that I wrote, which is haven't been published or been written out by editor or nothing like that. But I did had a couple of publishers call me and talk to me about it, but I think they wasn't real, so they was fake editors or publishers. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and read. I'm gonna still continue writing this, even though it haven't been published as a book. Tony Predicament, and then I'm gonna call out my characters that's in Tony McCullen Predicament of Being with Friends is the title, and my characters are Tony McCullen, Tanika Von Matthews, child's mother of Tony McCullen, Jeremiah J. Matthews, son of Tony Eddie McCullen, Brianna M. Matthews, half daughter of Tony McCullen, Netta Prexton, cousin of Tony Eddie McCullen, DeJuan Prexton, Netta's son by Mark Elson, Mark Elson's uh, Netta's ex-husband, Latricia Sampson, sister of Justin Sampson, Justin Sampson, Tony Eddie McCullen, good friend from Cedar Hill, Texas, Dietrich Long, godfather of Justin Sampson, from Arkansas, uh, Joe Roderick, friend of Dietrich Long from Dallas, Texas, Mayretta White Moses, cousin Tony Eddie McCullen from Turl, Texas, late Craig McCullen, late late A. Craig McCullen, uh, brother of Tony Eddie McCullen, Shelly Jean, Shelly J. Timman, adopted sister of Tony Eddie McCullen, Lindsay M. Copeman, mother of Tanika Matthews, Aunt Jane Reddick, name a funeral home where Tony Eddie McCullen, brother, uh, body was service at, which I don't have the name of that on here at this moment. Uh, late Uncle Bobby Reddick, late great uncle, the late great uncle Tony Eddie McCullen from Turl, Texas. Uh, Aunt Bessie Louise Moses, mother of Mayretta from Turl, Texas. Carissa Rochelle Adamson, niece of Tony McCullen, from Dallas, Texas. And some of the characters continue. 21 is Tawana Michelle Adamson, niece of Tony Eddie McCullen from Dallas, Texas. Okay, my correct composition of my preference is the self gives me an opportunity to look into the mirror of myself to understand and love and determine how it rates in comparison to Jesus Christ, who is love personified. Love is not selfish, self focused, jealous, or boastful, or hateful towards fellow mankind. Every day we miss out an opportunity, and when we don't wait for the right moments for ourselves, for our love, and when we rush into something that isn't ours to hold. My intro, part one, correction is so it was disappointing for Tony as a member of this church here in Dallas, Texas, because as a young believer, he didn't know the seriousness of what living for Christ Jesus really means. However, Tony McCullen prayed, but he didn't live the life he prayed for. You see, Tony knew and had been taught to read the Bible and study God's word. After singing in the choir and praising God while hearing the preacher preach the gospel, Tony was still not in the right standing with God. And as this went on for so long, the, the life Tony was living became increasingly ungodly. He had thoughts of having a close friends. And as we continue telling the story of Tony McCullen, in this introduction, he finds himself leaving home with some guys that his adopted sister Shelley Tillman knew, where they met her while she was panhandling on the corner. Intro part two. As far as Tony McCullough being born here in Dallas, Texas at Parkland Hospital, he gets his meds at a pharmacy called Access Clinic, where he receives medicine. His mom was born in Kemp, Texas, and moved to live with her mom until she and his dad met in 1970 and got married, and two boys were added to the union. And a couple years later, his cousin and added to the family through adoption. As I continue on this day of December 17, 2024, of Tony McCullough and Baxter Moore's did deep friendship. They have been together for 3 years before Tony McCullough's brother passed away at a place called Big D in the South Dallas, Texas area. I had to throw that in there too. Chapter 1 of Tony McCullough Predicament with Friends. As the story continues, Tanika Vaughn Matthews was born here in Dallas, Texas, and in the Redbird area. She went to school here in Dallas, Texas, and graduated from Pinkston High School in West Dallas, Texas. So far, the story goes on to say that she later in life met and connected with Tony before his mother and brothers and adopted sister passed away. And their dad had already passed away about 20 something years ago, June 23rd, 1982. Now being over 40 years, therefore, the chemistry between Tanika and Tony was pretty cool until Tony went into the ministry with some guys that had adopted sister, that his adopted sister, that his adopted sister knew from hanging on the corner of Zane in Illinois. While Tony was away for a year from mid 1996 to 2000, Tony had intercourse. Tanika, Tanika had intercourse with Netta's ex-husband. But when Tony found out after he had proposed to her at the church education building, he didn't know she had an affair and had gotten pregnant by Netta's ex-husband. Tony McCullen did know about the intercourse she had with Netta's ex-husband, Mark X. Elson, until he heard through his mom, Jean McCullen. You know, Tony takes his late mother's words seriously, and through others, Tony McCullen heard, but not from Tanika Matthews. Tony feels somewhat indifferent and hurt about Tanika Matthews. Besides all the indifference and hurt he has been through with Tanika, Tony remains full of forgiveness and love for Tanika, but she is not to be trusted. Y'all can give y'all opinion on that in the comment after the restrictions been taken off. I really don't mind about your opinion, and I will be sending this video to the ones that I know. Thank you. And the one that's come on my previous live and see this after the restriction been taken off, you are welcome to give your comment on it. Okay, here we go. Okay, continue from page 3. Wait a minute. Y'all bear with me for a minute. Once it had happened more than once, it is bound to happen again. As the story progressed, he spoke with Tanika Matthews over the phone, regarding his sister-in-law, Wanda Rochelle Adamson. However, Tony was surprised by something Tanika said. He thought to himself that Tanika didn't ride the bus much when he tried to invite her to visit him, but acted like she didn't know how to get to Tony's place. All right, I'm going to read the acknowledgement and then we're going to read the acknowledgement on chapter 7. As I continue to acknowledge this story of Tony Mccullen, who had a mind that was a blessing to him and his late brother and late adopted sister, Shelley Jane Tiemann, who is no longer with Tony Eddie Mccullen, he remembered her as a phenomenal woman in their lives who had who had, had who had strong willpower and inspired them to remain strong with a all God given and strength God had given her. Therefore, his love and honor goes to his late mom, who stands at 5'9" and weighs about 196 pounds with a light complexion. My heart and love goes to our lovely late mom, Jean McCullough. Mayweather White is a person whom Tony McCullough deeply admires. She is one of his closest cousins and always providing support when he needs it. And in Tony's circle of friends, he struggles with inner peace. And similar to Tanika Matthews, Mayweather stands approximately 5'5" tall, weighs 192 pounds, and has a light brown skin tone. She hails from Terrell, Texas, just like her mother hails from Terrell, Texas, just like her mother hails from Terrell, Texas. Okay, Tony's aunt, Betty Louise Moses. Betty is an exceptional woman and known for her kindness and generosity and compassion. She also moved to Dallas, Texas from Terrell, Texas. That's the acknowledgement of chapter 7. All right, my next one is this is rigid. This is the original. I'm sorry, I just read the acknowledgement. This is chapter 5 of my book writing. This is chapter 5 of my story. Chapter 5. I'm sorry, I just read the acknowledgement. It really actually wasn't no number. I'm on chapter 5 now. As I continue the story in chapter 5 of Tony McCullen's predicament with a friend, at 47 years old, now 48, whom he met in the South Dallas, Texas area, he finds himself in a twilight moment that he couldn't resist regarding a person he saw before his late brother Craig A. McCullen passed away. While in the midst of mourning his already deceased mother, Tony assumes he is under attack by the acknowledging of this person, acknowledging acknowledge of this person, unsure of whether knowing them or could cause him harm. Yet he tries to connect with them despite the tension and lingering between them. As I continue the story into chapter 6, on this December 17, 2024, Tony McCullough and Baxter Moore have a deep friendship, being together for 3 years before Tony McCullough's brother passed away at a place called Big D in the South Dallas area. Therefore, as the story continues into chapter 7, on January 26, 2024, when Tony McCullough's brother passed away, his cousin and child's mother and were there watching a show called Fatima to comfort themselves from the loss of his brother, and in the midst of preparing for his service. Chapter chapter 6, I propose. Hold on. Hello? What the hell? Hold on, everybody. Scam. They still calling me. Hold on. Okay, let's finish. Sorry about the interruption. Um, they call him from Saint Antonio, probably some kind of scam. I am on that call block register, so yeah, it probably ain't gonna pick up. Anyway, I'm gonna start off from chapter 7, correct conversion. Although Tony McCullough tried to live peacefully at times on January 26, 2024, confronting himself from the loss of his late brother, Craig A. McCullough. As he was on his way to the funeral service of his late brother, Craig A. McCullen, an argument broke out between Tanika Matthews and Netta Prexon. Therefore, as the story continues from chapter 6, Tony's predicament with his child's mother and cousin, Netta, who is from the Dallas, Texas area, stands around 5'5", weighs around 190 pounds, with a light complexion. As Netta continues to be on the phone with Tony McCullen's ex common law sister law, she proceeds to ask Tanika Matthews about her card. Tanika Matthews says, "Yes, I do." Netta proceeds to say, "You don't have anything on that damn card, bitch." Then Tanika replies, I do. For second of all, I am not a bitch. Netta responds, you must be a bitch because you went with my ex-husband and had a child by him with your nasty A. All right, chapter 8. Eventually, the test seems frustrated with Tony McCullen, who is living in the dark about Tanika Matthews cheating on him, but he wasn't ready for a confrontation. Who he knew it was wrong, and on the night of January 26, 2024, that Thursday night, Tony McCullen wasn't in a comfortable mood, but just wanted to chill. And as the night progressed, he found himself be going to bed after an argument between his child's mother and his first cousin. And at the narrative unfolds regarding Tony McCullough complex situation with close friends, Baxter Moore, whom he developed a profound bond on April the 22nd, 2022. Baxter, a resident of South Dallas, measures 5 feet and 5 inches tall and weighs 132 pounds, which that's some part of the story. Anyway, let's go to chapter 9. As the story continues, it details the interaction between Tony McCullens and Baxter Moore regarding their predicament with each other. It's going well, but there are times when they desires each other, like today, March the 14th, 2025. Earlier that morning, Tony found himself experiencing sexual tension and feeling aroused by Baxter Moore. Baxter Moore affected Tony in ways that made his sexual tension for uh forget a sexual tension for Tanika Matthews not even matter anymore. And the stress Tanika put him through faded away and leaving only love at a distance for her. Baxter Moore turned Tony on so well with his tongue, providing Tony with pleasures that Tanika couldn't when they were together back when his mom and brother were alive. All right, is it getting pretty hot to y'all? Okay, after the restrictions been taken off, I will be sending this to people that I know that want to hear this story. And sorry about the phone disturbance that I had in the background. Uh, I don't know. Them scams been calling me. I am on a do not call list. I don't know. I was in the mood of reading my little story, and you can please like and comment and subscribe. I've been on here 20 some minutes. This is January the 27th, 2026. I want to say happy belated New Year to everyone. And I see January is almost gone now. So anyway, let's go ahead and finish this off. Mayetta White stands about 5'5", weighs 192 pounds, and have a light brown skin complexion. She is from Terrell, Texas. Moved to Dallas, Texas. Her mom, who has a light colored complexion, stands about 5'6", and is also from Terrell, Texas. Tony McCullough really looks up to her. She is one of his favorite cousins and would be there for him. As far as Tony's friends, She concerned Tony as far as Tony's friends are concerned, they couldn't find peace for Tony with himself, such as Tanika Matthews. If they only knew, such as Tanika Matthews, if they only, my bad, if they only knew why Tony privately fell for such a guy he knew through his late great uncle Bobby Reddick and Aunt Joe, the desire he had for them when he first met them, despite all despite all the difficulties they had went through after meeting. This friend Tony met stands about 5'5", weighs around 130, and has a light brown skin complexion and is slight bow-legged. Tony couldn't express such feeling he had, but he reminisces about whether God would give him a passing grade for thinking about what to do regarding this guy to vent the desires Tony had for him. Okay, I think that being said, it wouldn't give Tony a passing grade, but Tony took that risk in parting with the guy, staying over at his place, liking him, even him, even though he was slightly bow-legged and weighed 130 pounds and has a light brown complexion. Before his late mom and brother passed away, when his life needed the spiritual guidance and growth he so needed. Okay, I think I'm about done. Let's go to 11. Chapter 11 remained true. Um, some folks lie when they're under some circumstances or pretend like nothing is going on. The circumstances show who we are, allowing our past to be the past, to make room for the present, to be brighter. For Tony, he's loving Baxter more, and Baxter loves him more. And Tanika is fading from his mind, but leaving love at a distance. However, they're backed into a corner and will come out with facades of lies. They will they'll tell another lie to back up the first one they told, and before you know it, they'll wrap up in a suit of deceit and disloyalty, all because they're afraid of telling the truth to keep the man they once had. Therefore, as Tony is at his job on the first night of reminiscing about the good lovemaking he and Baxter Moore had done throughout yesterday on March the 22nd, 2025, Tony give Baxter Moore his best loving, but Tony doesn't feel quite right about giving it to him. However, Tony feels he's the best when it comes to making closure with Baxter, that Baxter makes him fall deep in love with him. Okay, that's my end of my page. I thank y'all. And please like and comment and subscribe. I don't mind about your comment at all. So That's my time on this January 22nd, 2026. I want to say happy belated New Year to everyone. And I want to thank everybody who wishing me on Facebook a happy birthday on January the 4th. And my mom as well. Her was January the 4th as well, 1938, which she been gone 5 years now. And yes, that's my calendar. That's with the dog. Ain't it's cute. So this January is almost over now. And while we up here dealing with the snow and everything, and which we just got Saturday morning around 7 o'clock. So I want to say thank you so much for joining my live after the restrictions been taken off. Please take a look at it. Please take a look at it. And here's some of the reading that I had wrote last year. And I am still writing. I am still writing. And I think I wrote something else too. I'm interested in. I want you to be interested in hearing. Some of y'all that's driving or whatever, this and that, you know, you can look at it when you get time. I will be passing it on to the ones that I know. Uh, I want y'all to hear this one. I had wrote this out the other day. It's a story, and I think I had posted on Facebook as well. Listen.
Tony Mccullen finds himself experiencing genuine intimacy after reconnecting with someone who doesn't realize how deeply he values trust. Despite this, Tony is determined to maintain his faith in others while showing his affection, understanding that love and trust are intertwined in their new relationship. One day, Tony encounters Jeremy Brewster, a longtime friend from high school. Back then, Tony had struggled with bullying and eventually left school, but now they stand in a different place. Jeremy, who is around 5 feet 6 inches and weighs approximately 175 pounds, hails from Crandall, Texas. As they catch up, Tony greets him with, "Hi, Jeremy," to which Jeremy replies, "Hey, Tony. How are you?" "I'm doing okay. How about you?" Tony asks. Jeremy shares that he's currently job hunting. Tony inquires about Jeremy's last job at McDonald's, to which Jeremy explains, "They fired me for allegedly stealing from the register, but I wasn't even on the register that night. The manager said they would review the camera footage and get back to me." Feeling sympathetic, Tony responds, "I'm really sorry to hear that. I hope you get some good news from them soon. Everyone needs a job." Jeremy agrees, making small talk before he asks, "What are you up to now? Where are you headed?" Tony replies that he is on his way home, inviting Jeremy to join him. "Sure, I'd love to," Jeremy responds, recalling that they've had a connection since May 2016. As they arrive at Tony's place, Tony unlocks the door and playfully tells Jeremy, "Wow, you look sexy," feeling a strong urge to pull him toward the bedroom. However, Jeremy has other ideas in mind. He surprises Tony with an intimate gesture, giving him a sensual experience, which Tony appreciates. Amid their passionate moment, Tony's phone rings from the nightstand. It's Baxter Moore, a friend who stands at 5 feet 5 inches and weighs around 135 pounds. Baxter's intense jealousy often turns Tony off, making him feel suffocated. Tony wishes Baxter would treat him more like an equal rather